In today's story, nothing actually happens because everyone's asleep. Well, except for Kaiba. He's modeled himself after the only human being on the planet that will live forever off of only 3 hours of sleep a night, Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Funny.
Get ready to rule the world in a vaguely established manner, all my fellow feature outlaws. This is Card Games vs. Humanity, and I am that NKK Double G. Finally back with a recap of Duel monsters that I know you all missed. I've been a busy man traveling across the land. I didn't even mean to make that rhyme. So as per usual, if you enjoyed, don't forget that sub, that bell, that like. Hit up the Patreon below on the link. It would actually really help me. If you can support me more, I can make more episodes. I really will. Leave a comment telling me if you can guess what new cards Merrick claims he actually put in his deck, because so far they must be always buried at the bottom. Let's ignore that because exciting things are happening right now. Yes, that's right. Everyone is asleep. Especially Joey, who seems to be having some very confusing dreams.
You gone monkey boy, Kaiba.
Don't forget me, handsome. See you later.
Mike! Come back!
First off, Joey, that's my, not Kaiba. And secondly, they brought back that stupid friggin' tablet thing again. Monster, magic, trap, they're never gonna explain it. Oh yes, that's some nice fan service. Everyone, including even Ashizu, is finally fast asleep, except for that lovable scamp Seto Kaiba, who is still awake and very angry that he is able to read the text on Raw, but his technology can't. Yes, this is a man with levels of ego that are actually more full of themselves than others. Finally, to the duel this episode is supposed to be about. Both Merrick and Bakura claim that in the Shadow Realm, the loser pays the ultimate price. So basically, they just talk about shit that even in canon, they should already know well. Just like Bakura now fully knows all the hidden secrets of Raw thanks to the other current man that's currently dwelling inside him. Apparently, the less shitty version of Merrick overheard his sister talking about how the evil half was born while he was still inside Teia's body. I guess Captain Ginyu's body switch ain't got shit on Merrick's ability to just go from person to person.
It was you who began my path towards darkness when you sent my father to the Shadow Realm.
Oh yes, when you sent our 94-year-old father out to the grave, and not the
Shadow Realm.
That was the day I swore revenge on the Pharaoh, despite having no actual proof that it was him that did things. Evil Merrick, aka Mar-Reek, says it was your jealousy, hate, and rage that brought me to life, so you're just as guilty as I am, bitch. You can try that plea of insanity in the courts, but we aspire to a higher law known as card games.
Father, please forgive me. Very touching.
You may not know it there, but he was actually being 100% sincere. Bakura is actually surprisingly well in tune with his emotions for a genocidal maniac. Only 7 minutes into this show about dueling, no one's actually began dueling yet because Bakura is too busy being pissed off at Merrick for hiding secrets from him. That maybe, just maybe, the power of the Pharaoh, that thing he's been talking about for, I don't know, 50 episodes or so, might have a magic stronger than the 7 Millennium items, neither of which have established power levels and have remained mostly vague. Only about 8 minutes in and no one's drawn a frickin' card yet, Bakura says he's about to summon the Shadow Realm before Merrick says, nah bro, don't worry, I got it this time.
Prepare for a battle like no other!
Why did he look scared and confused when Merrick put the Shadow Realm up? You think he'd have a handle on how these things work by now. In this Shadow game, though, things are a little bit different. Because when you lose life points, you also lose bits and pieces of your body to the shadows, leaving you a smaller husk of the man you once were. And imagine using a life equalizer deck in that situation. You'd lose and then gain 150 pounds in like 2 minutes. Bakura finally begins dueling in a show called Duel Monsters, setting one card face down before summoning Simo's best little buddy, Goblin Zombie. That's a normal monster for some reason. Mar-Reek says he finds this move highly predictable, just like the cards in his deck that he said he changed earlier, summoning Drago to the field before setting a remove trap face down. He attacks right away, but luckily for us, the viewing audience, Bakura has a lovely fake trap card called Frightful Earthbound, a trap card that causes a giant gross like bush of moss and teeth to try to bite and nip at you every time you attack with a monster. Drago destroys the Goblin Zombie, that's a normal monster, forcing the trap card to take effect and try to take a literal bite out of a criminal. Unfortunately for Bakura, this is the battle phase, so Mar-Reek is able to activate remove trap. Why was there a sound effect of it? Did he just murder a cow? Watching his body dissolve away thanks to Mar-Reek's magic, Bakura laughs it off and says he's quite familiar with how the Shadow Realm works despite being surprised by it twice already. Let's ignore that because something very exciting is going on. Yes, Yugi is sleeping.
Where am I?
Okay, I'm just gonna ignore the fact that we're supposed to believe that Yugi's both playing with both a rocking horse and a boombox at the same time. Mostly to point out how that has to be the smallest motorcycle I've ever seen in my entire life. That thing must get like 0.5 horsepower. Yugi says, wait a second, this is the inside of my own mind. To have actual thoughts inside my own head? What a trippy thing, says Yugi. But unfortunately, my thoughts aren't interesting enough, so let's walk over to Yami's dorm room because he refused to share one with me. Apparently, this is only the second time he's ever entered Yami's mind puzzle, who appears to greet him in front of the many confusing levels and pathways inside his twisted head. Not really sure why this is happening right now out of all times. Oh, right. filler.
It seems like things are getting out of hand lately, and the danger's growing.
Don't worry, Yami, I'll help you figure out all your confusing memories, and I swear to God, there's nothing wrong with the proportions of my face. He's a genius and figures out that this labyrinth is nothing more than a representation of everything that Yami's confused about himself. Although if you look closely at most of the rooms, they all just kind of say the same thing, which is my sexuality. 13 minutes in, and we're at turn 2, finally. Parody claims that he knows every card in Bakura's deck after watching his fight with the Pharaoh. Bakura that says he has other plans, who is currently holding 2 pieces of the Destiny board in his hand, which makes sense because he wouldn't definitely pull them out of his deck if he had other strategies. Apparently less shittier Merrick and Bakura talk off screen instead of having a 5-minute conversation about it, revealing now that they have a scheme, a strategy, a plan if you will. Bakura sets 2 cards face down, one of them being exchanged and the other being another fake card that you'll just have to wait for before summoning Gurnia in defense mode. Because he's a good duelist who says it doesn't matter what Bakura does, Marrig says he has the ultimate plan to bring out his Winged Dragon of Ra.
Once I draw the Winged Dragon of Ra, Horn of Sanctity, this should help me immensely. No!
Oh yes, all I have in my hand is this card that literally lets me draw a 5 when it's flipped up and these 2 crappy back row cards. Big top deck and a card of Sanctity and activate it right away before setting down these other 3 cards so I can only draw 2 instead of 5. Luckily for Marrig, Bakura activates his other fake trap card, Multiple Destruction. A card that would make Empty Jar strategy the most feared thing in the land. A card that's basically just morphing jar in trap card form, forcing you to discard your hand and draw 5. The downside of this card, take away life points for Bakura, forces Marrig to say the same thing we all said to ourselves in the last 2 years anytime we saw Kanye West doing anything.
Is this a trick? Why is he destroying himself?
Marrig dumps his entire hand and draws into 5 cards, one of them being the lovely Pot of Greed, of course. Not really sure why he has Earl of Demise in his deck, and is that Gift of the Mystical Elf? That honestly looks like the artwork. I mean, at least we're finally seeing some of those new cards he talked about.
I see you still haven't drawn the card you need yet. How pathetic.
It's my turn to draw. Oh man. I see you couldn't draw the exact card that you needed in a 40-card deck. Pathetic. How the fuck am I supposed to have any control over that? Eric sets 1 card face down before we head back to the real storyline, Yugi and Yami talking about their flashbacks. Mostly because this duel is horrible and not allowed to reach turn 5. Wait, never mind, we're already back to Bakura who's tribute summoning for the Puppet Master to the field, allowing him to pay 1,000 life points to summon 3 monsters from the graveyard all at once. Unfortunately for him, Eric saw all this shit coming because maybe there's 2 cards in the game that can actually take Ra from him right now. He's forced to hand it over to him when Bakura activates the magic card exchange. The episode ends with me being totally pissed off because Bakura could have set Monster Reborn on the field before activating exchange, leading to the exact scenario that leads to his demise in the next episode. Oh. Spoilers. Well, that's it for this week's episode. I want to thank you all for watching, and of course, a shout out to all my patrons. I know we took a while in between episodes here. I got to get back up some of that momentum. I have been pretty busy, but we'll get back to it. You all know what's coming in 1 episode. Green hair. This has been the Man from Worth with all the girls, ladies and gentlemen. Be the character you know you're worth. Later. Summoning Jorlago to the field before setting a remove trap face down. Summoning Jorlago to the field before... Apparently less shitty Merrick heard his sister talking about... Apparently less shitty Merrick heard about how his...